simpler life for the Alaniz family, my father Victor and his brother Sal immigrated to the United States in 1972. They moved to Fireball, California, from the city of Las Maravillas in Michoacan, Mexico. Neither of the young men had citizenship. Both brothers toiled in the fields to survive. It was a grueling 10 hours of labor per day under the blistering sun. Yet the two brothers paid college tuition with revenue generated from their hard work. Currently, my father is an associate at the Nolte Engineering Company, and Uncle Sal is a harvest supervisor at Westside Produce. Even my grandpa Eliseo, who is 81 years old, works in the fields. This is my family. These are the people I admire and respect. Like my family, most undocumented immigrants move to the United States and work in undesirable places where manual labor is needed and workers are scarce. According to a report published by the Pew Hispanic Center, a nonpartisan research organization in Washington, approximately 11.2 million illegal immigrants were living in the United States in 2010, a number essentially unchanged from the previous year. There are roughly 7.2 million undocumented workers in the United States, or about 5% of the country's workforce. The United States government is cracking down on illegal aliens by investigating companies that hire illegal aliens. Workers who do not have official citizenship are torn from their family and deported to their home country. I understand and respect the law, but we are caught in a struggle between a law with good intentions and an industry whose needs are not being met within that law. In the agriculture industry alone, 80% of field labor is accomplished by illegal aliens. If illegal immigrants who fill these positions are deported, who will be left to do the agriculture jobs so many of us don't want to do? Agriculture is a significant part of our society, and without an inexpensive labor force that is willing to fill these jobs, we'd have substantially higher costs for food. Some might question why immigrants cannot acquire a temporary work permit or actual citizenship. Unfortunately, on average, it can take up to 90 days to receive a work permit. And the work permit cannot be granted until the petition is filed with the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, which could take months. Receiving actual citizenship takes years. There are court dates that need to be attended, a citizenship test that must be taken, and lawyers that need to be paid, all of which incur expenses. It costs $680 to simply file an application for citizenship. In order to become a U.S. citizen, one must reside in the United States as a permanent resident continuously 4 to 5 years. Additionally, one must comprehend the history and government of our nation and be able to speak, read, and write simple English. Immigration is changing the composition of our nation's child population as well. 1 in 5 U.S. children and 1 in 4 low-income children have an immigrant parent. Since so many immigrants work in low-wage jobs without benefits, their children face greater risks of poverty and economic hardships, as well as lack of access to health insurance, public benefits, and child care. These issues, coupled with the cost of filing for citizenship, is why working to become a legal citizen of these United States is very stressful and almost unattainable for many immigrants. Immigration reform has been part of President Obama's platform since he was elected. And on June 22, 2011, U.S. Senator Robert Mendez and several others reintroduced the Comprehensive Immigration Reform Bill, aimed at addressing the broken immigration system. The Comprehensive Immigration Reform Act of 2011 includes both a mandatory employment verification system and a program to require undocumented immigrants in the United States to register with the government, learn English, and pay fines and taxes, on their way to becoming Americans. This bill focuses primarily on immigrants, both legal and illegal, currently in the United States. In regards to immigration reform, President Obama stated, "We are not going to ship back 12 million people. We're going to do it as a practical matter. We would have to take all of our law enforcement that we have available and use it to put people on buses and rip families apart. That is not who we are. That is not what America is about." Border control, worksite enforcements, guest worker permits, improvement of the current immigration system, and naturalization process are all discussed in this bill. Border security would be amplified with an increase of over 350 miles of fencing along the U.S.-Mexico border and an increase of over 290 miles of vehicle barriers. The E-Verify system would be used to verify identity and work eligibility. As part of the bill, a standing commission on immigration, labor market, and national interest would be created to evaluate labor market and economic conditions and recommend quotas for employment-based visa programs for Congress that protect American jobs. By improving the current immigration system, the U.S. government would make sure that illegal aliens do not earn credits towards Social Security. Finally, undocumented residents have 10 years to become legalized. If passed, this bill promises sustainability for the agriculture industry as well. Currently, foreign-born workers represent 75% of U.S. farm labor and 90% of California farm labor. As unauthorized workers become legal citizens, they can choose to stay employed as farm labor or perhaps find other work. Those who choose to exit farm labor can be replaced by workers from the H-2A, an agriculture program that allows agriculture employers who anticipate a shortage of domestic workers to bring foreign-born workers to the United States to perform agriculture labor or services of temporary or seasonal nature. Since 1972, the Alaniz family has benefited from living in the States, and they've contributed to our country. Yes, they paid taxes, opened 3 small businesses serving local residents and providing jobs for community members, and earned 3 college degrees. With the passage of the comprehensive immigration reform, I hope that we can reach a fair and realistic agreement so that people like my relatives can continue to benefit the agriculture industry without fear of deportation. Thank you.
The Comprehensive Immigration Reform Act and a lot of these issues have been in the news lately. And that E-Verify system is one thing that people have been talking about lately. Could you maybe explain that system a little bit, what you know of it, research?
The E-Verify system is actually a computer-based program. So it takes the I-9 verification form that employees must have to fill out before they're allowed to work in their labor force. And it compares it to companies like the Department of Homeland Security and the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. And it checks all their background from when they were in their homeland and they're from here, if they have any record of any misdemeanors or anything that could compromise their workforce. Then they would come back and say, I'm sorry, but you're not eligible to work in our workforce. So that is what the E-Verify system would be used for.
If you had right now today to write your own law on how this whole process would happen, what things would you say would be extremely beneficial? How would you attack this situation?
I would include aspects from the current immigration reform, like having immigrants learn English and having them to pay fines and taxes and learning about our government and our history. However, I've actually come up with an own plan myself that I could use for help illegal immigrants. What I'd actually have to do is open a bank account for that certain illegal immigrant, and they would be in their labor force, and then 10% of the check that they received would go into that bank account that is solely based on, saying, becoming a legal citizen of these United States. So that bank account would be used to pay the fines and the taxes and to pay for the USCIS and the naturalization process. It would only solely be based to becoming a legal citizen.
Are there any other proposed bills right now out there that may further affect this issue?
There is the Ag Labor Laws bill that is actually going on right now, and it's basically the same thing as the immigration reform, but it's more based on agriculture. The immigration reform is generally for all the immigrants in the world right now, or in the United States. However, but the Ag Labor Laws focus on helping improve agriculture, not just helping our government pay taxes and fines.
It kind of leads into my question. What are the top 3 things that agriculturalists want in terms of new labor law?
I'd probably have to say having more people in their field labor in the agriculture, and it'd be more people in the factories working, and just more people in general that are knowing how to work any type of factories or anything possible. So say they need more immigrants working on tractors, and they need people that have knowledge of doing these things.
Is amnesty a solution, or is that creating a bigger problem?
I'd say it'd be creating a bigger problem because not many people know about it, so it'd be a literacy issue.
Obviously this is important to you and your family. What can you do, just as an FFA member in your community, to help this out and to educate people?
I can just get the word out myself. I can share the story of how my family came here. I actually just came back from Mexico literally 2 days ago, and it helped me to learn more about my topic and to understand what my family went through. And I'm willing to share that story through the FFA and the speaking contest. I can get the word out how it's hard to become a legal citizen, but it's possible. And if more illegal immigrants see that it's possible, they would be willing to come and be Americans.
What groups are speaking out and getting agriculture's voice out there and heard so that we can make positive changes to ag labor laws?
A lot of it is the Farm Bureau, the Paul Wenger, the president. He's really trying to push the issue of the H-2A program and just immigration in itself. He's really trying to push that the H-2A program is a one-size-fits-all program. We need a program that can help more to benefit all aspects of the agriculture industry, not just say one that could work for the cantaloupe industry, but something that can work for people that are picking cotton in the fields. That's what basically the Farm Bureau is working on right now.
They're the only ones?
There's a couple more, however, I'm sorry, I don't have the names right now.
Say if I'm in a different country and I want to come to work in the United States, what's the current process?
There's actually places, it depends on if you want to get a green card, if you just want to get a temporary work permit. However, there are places in that certain country where you sign up and you say, oh, so I want to go to California or I want to go to Arizona to work. So they'd set you up on a program that you'd work in California and you'd say you'd work in this factory and you'd work in another factory and then you'd work in another factory. You'd have to go to all three factories before you are able to return home.
You talked about it affecting the people here in America. Do you know or have you had any research about the effect it may have on the people that want to come over here? In terms of people that want to work?
The Immigration Reform Act? It would be based... Thank you.